Hi, I'd love to share with you a couple of powerful questions that you can work with today, which are core questions, which are the essence of everything we do with awakening coaching. So when we start one-on-one coaching with a client, or at the beginning of a weekend, or at the beginning of a new training, these questions are always the way to initiate a process of deepening. So I'm going to take a few minutes now to share these questions with you. You can listen to what I have to say and then let them percolate into your day. So the first powerful question I want to invite you into here is the question, what is my deepest longing? What is my deepest longing? It may sound like an obvious question, but you'd be amazed how many times we forget the deeper longing and it gets substituted by more fleeting or superficial or conditioned desires. And in this context, I'd like to tell you a tiny story because it's my favorite story that I've ever heard in my whole life, and I want to tell it to you now. And the story happened a long time ago in a kingdom far away. Unfortunately, it's not a politically correct story anymore because it involves a king who has to pass his kingdom on to another king. So today that doesn't work like that anymore. We have queens with equal rights as kings, but this is a long time ago. So this king, he has no son. So he has to pass the kingdom over to somebody, so he decides to send his squires with the long bugles out into the nature, into the villages, to invite people to come for an interview. So the next king will be chosen by interview instead of by hereditary. So they send out all the pages, and they announce on a certain day everybody should come. And sure enough, on that day, all of the people come from the villages. But of course, they're very dirty. You know, they have little animals in the hair. They've got all kind of dirty dreadlocks and dressed in rags. So the first thing has to happen is they are given a haircut. The animals are removed, a lot of good shampooing, and then they are shaved and given new clothes, silk and satin and velvet. So now they look really good. Now they're guided into the royal banquet hall where there's fantastic food from all over the world, food all down the one side of the banquet hall. They can eat as much as they want, so they're eating, and there's, of course, many kinds of wine and all kinds of alcohol. So they're eating and they're drinking. And then the music starts. The royal musicians come and they're playing the drums and the violin and the flutes. And then out come the dancing girls with the bells and all the thing. And so everybody now, they're eating and they're drinking and they're dancing with the dancing girls. And it goes on and on and on and on until the night time. At 9 o'clock at night, the guards come again and they said, "You must leave now." So these people from the villages, they take a leg of mutton and they wrap it up in the clothes. But the guards say, "No, you can't take anything away. You can only leave with what you came with." So these people now, they're leaving, just again dressed in rags, wandering down the alleys of the city late in the night, singing songs. And they have to go back to the villages. And the king, he calls the prime minister. And the king says, "What happened? I've been waiting here the whole day to do the interviews and nobody came. Nobody came." And the prime minister hangs his head in embarrassment. He says, "I'm so sorry, my lord. But you provided so many good things for them, so much entertainment, that they all forgot why they came." And the king says, "This is such a tragedy, because if only one had remembered, that one would have inherited everything. That one would have inherited the keys to having everything. But nobody came, and so they all remain beggars." And I wonder if already, as you hear that story, if you might begin to sense some allegorical meaning to the story. Because in a way, I feel like we, all of us, are subject to forgetting why we came. It happens when you have a child. When you know you're going to have a child, you have a vision of raising the child in awareness, in love, in the Dharma, and freedom. And then we get busy with driving to the football and homework, and we forget the original intention. When you start a business, you have a vision of helping the planet, of really doing business in a conscious way, of being relaxed and creative. And then we get busy with the bottom line and money, and we start to cut corners. So in every area of life, we forget why we came. So this is a very, very powerful question. If you have time, I would recommend to you to set aside a whole day or even 2 days completely alone, where you can go in the forest and just stay with this question. What is my deepest longing? Why did I come? What is it that really gives my life meaning and purpose, that is intrinsically fulfilling? This is, in my opinion, the most powerful question that any human being can ask themselves. It changes everything. When you ask that question, you regain the authority over your life. The teacher becomes that longing instead of somebody else outside telling you what your life should be about. So let's start with that. Really allow this question to percolate into your day. Maybe you can take a whole weekend with this question. What is my deepest longing? Why did I come? Why am I here? What is it that I can give my energy to, which will really make my life meaningful, so that one day I can die in peace with the feeling of, I did not get distracted. I gave it all. A kind of secondary question to that, which will still belong in that category, is then to evaluate your life now, to look at how you spend your time, to look at who you spend your time with, to look at where your energy goes and to see, is it in alignment? Is the way that you live each day in alignment with your deepest longing? Or is there distraction? Most people, if they're honest, if we are honest, we discover many, many, many kinds of distraction. We can be gentle with ourselves. There's no need to beat yourself up or blame yourself, but it's a good wake up to ask yourself, if this day really mattered, if this week really mattered, if this was the day to live it all, then what would be important? The second powerful question I want to share with you today, which is at the very essence of awakening coaching, is to ask yourself, would I prefer for this to be simple or complex? Now that it may seem like an obvious question. Well, of course I'd rather it be simple. But actually, even though we might say, yeah, of course I'd rather it be simple, if we look at how we lead our lives, many times our actions, our choices reflect a preference for complexity. Really good example is in relationship. If you're in relationship, you are in relationship of some kind, but whether it's an intimate relationship with a partner or your mother or your father or your children, sometimes relationships get into conflict or misunderstanding. In a moment like that, when relationship is not flowing with love, you could ask yourself, would I prefer for this situation to be complex or simple? When you're willing to choose simple, it's quite easy to put things straight. Simple means, I'm sorry. There was a misunderstanding. For my part, I'm sorry. I love you and I want to feel connected with you. That's simple. Trying to be right, trying to make the other wrong, getting into an argument is very complex. Trying to figure out why you're suffering is often very complex. It takes us into all kinds of theories of psychological history and your mother and your father and who did what to who and everything, karma and all of that. Simple is, could I choose well-being and happiness now? Could I choose to love now? Of course, we can go more deeply into this, and I hope that you and I, sometime soon, will get a chance to go deeper together. But for now, these are two powerful questions that can rock your world. Number one, what is my deepest longing? And as you get a sense for that, number two, would I rather this be simple or complex? Thanks for taking these few minutes with me today, and I'm really hoping that we'll get to do more together in person and live.